In this video, we'll be looking at how you can create a long-form story format using either the immersive photo or immersive half photo story page templates on your website. As the name suggests, the long-form story format is going to allow you to build a long-form, more in-depth style story package that is split into multiple parts called segments. So to give you an example of what that long-form format looks like, this is a story that is built using the immersive photo template and using the long-form format. So as you'll notice, as I scroll down here, the segments or parts of the long form format are going to replace the body field for the story. And as you will also notice, each segment has options to include a separate heading, a separate byline, text, media, and unique design options for each segment. And stories that are using the long form story format can include up to 50 of these segments. To build a story that uses that long form format, I'm first going to want to create the story. And I'm going to do that by going to my dashboard, hovering over the Stories tab on the left navigation bar, and adding a new story. So we're going to build the primary story, which is going to house all of those segments or parts of the long form that I am putting together. So to start, I'm going to fill in most of the kind of basic information for my primary story that's going to house those segments. That's going to include things like the headline there, a secondary headline there if I want to. I can upload a featured image for my primary story that I'm setting up here, video or audio if I wanted to, categorize it here, and then I can tag it there if I would like to. Note that when you are initially setting up this story, you do not need to fill in anything for the story body field because as previously mentioned, when I add the segments to this long form story, they are going to replace that story body field. In addition, it is optional to fill in the byline for that initial story. Each segment does give you the option to add a separate byline. And so if you have one person who is kind of building this story package and building all of the segments in it, you can include that person here. Otherwise, you can skip this byline field and just add individual bylines per segment. Once you've filled in most of that information for this primary story, you'll want to select the story template here from the right. And again, the two templates that allow you to use that long form format would be the immersive photo or the immersive half photo. When I select either of those, I'm going to see this box to check to use the long form format. And as soon as I select that box, you'll notice on the left here, my story body field disappears, and I am now prompted to add segments to my story. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a new story segment here. And again, as noted previously, you will be prompted to fill in your content and your design for that particular segment. I'm going to go ahead and start with a heading for my segment, as well as some text for my segment. You'll notice at the top of this text field for the segment that I do have the option to add snow story elements. So if I wanted to add something like a poll or an info box into a segment, I can do that using this Add Snow Story Element button. I can add a separate byline for each segment here. And if I want to credit multiple individuals for a segment, I do have the option to add an additional byline as well. Then in the center here, I'm prompted to add the media that I would like to use for this segment, an image or a video or audio embed code. Go ahead and add in an image here. Now, one kind of cool option that is new with the long form format is the option to use an alternate image for mobile. Obviously, because the segments kind of stretch full width in this long form format story here, horizontal images look really great for that. But if you had an alternate kind of more vertically aligned photo that you'd like to use for mobile display, you do have the option to add that alternate image for mobile there. Once you have all of your desired content for your segment, you've got the options to design it. And really, these options are going to vary slightly depending on the format that you select for the segment at the top here. So you'll see different formatting options. If I do full screen media as background, that will send this image to the back of the text. And I've got some different options for things like the background color, the text color, the overlay, display and location. If I switch the format to something else, like let's say the media on the left side, I can see those options change a little bit. I no longer have that overlay display option. So really the design that you'll see here is going to just depend on the segment format that you select. You can build really nice looking segments just with these basic design options, but if you want even more customization potential, you can click on this Show Advanced Design Options, and there are even more customizations that you can choose here. So that is the building block of putting a segment together. And I would just repeat those steps for however many segments I want in my long form format story. And again, you can have up to 50 of these segments included in your long form format story. I'm just going to set up another segment here, heading, text, byline. This time I will go ahead and add in a video for this segment, which I can do using the embed code for the video. Go ahead and grab that here. Add in a credit line for that video. And then again, I have the option to design my segment however I want here. Once you have all of your desired segments in your story, you can rearrange them if needed by using these arrows in the upper left-hand corner and clicking and dragging to rearrange the segment order. Now, if you have a lot of segments, you may find it easier to collapse them before you rearrange them. So if I want to collapse those segments to make it easier to rearrange, I can come up here to this story template box and collapse all segments. And that will just show me the headings of each segment. So again, it's a little easier to click and drag and rearrange. And I can expand them out again once I have them in the order that I want. You can also delete segments if you need to by clicking on the little X in the corner. Just note that if you do delete a segment from a story, the only way to recreate it is to recover it is to recreate the segment. So once I'm done creating that long form story, I have all of my segments. They are designed how I'd like in the order that I'd like. I can come to this publishing box here and save it as a draft, preview it, or publish it to my site. I publish this story and now go take a look at it. I can see this one is using that immersive photo template. So there's my featured image for my story. And then as I scroll down, I can see it splits into those segments with the design options that I selected for each one. And so from here, if I wanted to make any changes, I can edit the story to add additional segments, change the segment design, reorder the segments, etc. So that is how you can use either the immersive photo or immersive half photo story templates to build a long form format story on your site with multiple segments. If you have any questions about how to set up that long form format, please feel free to reach out to Snow Support.